Hey everyone, Aaron here, and today's review is of the In Christ Alone, or ICA Rebind of the Crossway English Standard Version Single Column Reference. This is an out-of-print text block, but I'll go over it just a little bit just so we can kind of see what it is. But this is not one that would be currently available. So if you do see one of these pop-up used, I would grab it, especially if you like this video and you like the text block that we have here. So the cover we have on this one is the Mocha Sokoto goat skin. I'll let you see some of the grain here. It does have a semi-yap, so it does not cover the full text block, which on a block this size would have a pretty large yap. Could kind of get in the way when you're trying to read it. So I opted for the semi-yap, which I think does a great job covering the page edges, which is my personal preference for pretty much on all Bibles, is a semi-yap versus a full yap. It does have perimeter stitching all the way around the edge in a different shade of brown, but still looks really nice with this Bible. You've got 5 raised spine ribs with the Holy Bible, ESV, and the In Christ Alone logo stamped in gold on the back. It does have a dark brown leather liner, and you can see that it is edge lined as well, with the gold gilt line added around the edges. It's got 4 very long ribbons. You've got 2 brown and 2 gold, which with the size of this text block, you were able to add 4 without causing any overlap. 4 is my personal preference again as well, so it was really nice that he was able to do that. And you do have the gold gilt edge on this one, which is there from the factory. I did not opt to add anything underneath, so all we have is just the gold that's there from the factory. So I will let you see here some of the corner work, just some of the attention to detail. Nice clean cuts, nice straight gilt line. You see the corner work here. It's just some of the kind of added features that you're going to get when you opt for the personal touch of a rebind versus what you normally get just from the stock Crossway editions. Like I said, this is the ESV. It's the 2007 text. So you can see that here. It is the single column reference edition and is printed in the United States of America. And so this Bible is a fairly thick edition. The paper is really thick. I'm not sure what the GSM is, but it does a really good job of not having a lot of show through. It would be really good for note taking, especially with the wide margins, but it does make it a pretty thick Bible. As you can see here, it is single column. It is a verse by verse layout, which would be really nice for preaching or for teaching. You do have your cross references in the center, which is also an added benefit if you're using it from a pulpit. And so what you can see here is how it's laid out. You don't have any of the text falling into the inner margin, into that gutter, which makes it a little bit more difficult to read. And so if you're trying to just read your text from the pulpit, it's all right there on the page without any fold over. And so if you're trying to get to your references, you're probably not doing that from the pulpit, or in a situation where you have to do it quickly. So it's nice that they put those there, but they put them in a spot that's not going to mess with the text. Another one of the features that I really like on this Bible is that each book starts on a new page. So if you go to the previous book where it ends, there's times that you have a good bit of blank page, just depending on where the previous chapter ends. So it gives you a good amount of note space, especially when you get to the New Testament and you got some of the shorter letters. At the end of the letter, you're going to have some space to add some extra notes. So just to get a little bit of a closer look, you can see that everything in this Bible is black. So the accents are in bold with your chapters, your book titles, your verse numbers, your headers, and as well as the words of Christ, as this is a black letter text. You do also have book headers or intros to the book for each book of the Bible as well. I'm not sure of what the GSM of this Bible is. However, I do know that the paper is quite thick, and you have minimal show through, minimal ghosting that you can see here. The poetry settings are the worst, and even then you can see that it's very minimal. So this is a great Bible for note taking with these wide margins and that thick paper, as it's not going to have a ton of show through from page to page. I would say this would be an ideal Bible for preaching or teaching, especially with the verse-by-verse layout and the large font. It is a 10-point font, and then those references being in the middle really help to be able to see things. However, one of the trade-offs with that thick paper and the verse-by-verse layout is it is a fairly thick Bible at 2 inches thick by 6.5 inches wide and 9.25 inches tall. Like I said earlier, that this Bible is out of print. So if you're looking for something similar to this, I would suggest looking at the Crossway ESV Preaching Bible. This one is the verse by verse, so you can see that the overall footprint is very similar. However, the new Preaching Bible is a good bit thinner. So that you definitely get a thicker Bible with the older printing, but this one's still going to have a lot of features that this Bible has that you could currently purchase right now. And so this one has a 9.75 font, so really close in font size. It's also got really thick paper, wide margins as well. And then also, this one again is the verse by verse. They do have a preaching Bible that is paragraph, but if you're going to be using it as a preaching Bible, personally, I would use the verse by verse in that setting versus the paragraph, as there's a number of paragraph Bibles available, but not quite as many verse by verse, especially in a single column layout. Just like the other Bible, this one is black letter text, and so if you do like this video, I would suggest maybe picking up one of these ESV preaching Bibles in verse by verse, unless you can find one of these older printings that was done in the U.S. This one's going to get you really close. It also already comes in a premium binding, but you can see here some of it is just not quite as nice as you get with the rebind. A little bit of the corner work here, you can see it's not as cleanly cut, and the fold over edges are just not quite as well done, but it's still a great Bible. Perfect because you could buy it right now. But that is my review of the In Christ Alone rebind of the ESV single column reference. Thanks for watching.